Okay, so now we made it to the last section, event types. If you're new to this channel, click the link in the description if you would like to follow along with the curriculum. So let's get into it. Event types. DOM and JavaScript can handle numerous event types. We will discuss a few different types of events here. As you continue your studies of the DOM and events, you may find these two references links helpful. Go check these out. So, load event. The DOM includes the load event, which is triggered when the window elements and resources have been loaded by the browser. Why is this important to know when things have loaded? Remember, you can't interact with HTML elements in JavaScript unless they have been loaded in the DOM. Remember when I said about the script tag, and I guess we'll talk about it now. Let's see if it answers this question. Previously, we were moving the script element below the HTML elements that we needed to reference in the DOM. Using the load event on the global variable window is an alternative to the script placement. When the load event has triggered on the window as a whole, we can know that all elements are ready to be used. Okay, so let's look and see what this says, and then I'm gonna add a little bit to it. So here we have the script tag right here. It's inside the head. And so the header, all the DOM code is inside the load event handler, inside the header. So let me see here. This is the head tag. Let me see. So it says header. So I'm assuming, okay, they're talking about the head tag. So everything is, the script is in the header, and all DOM code is inside the load event handler. So let's look this over line by line. So this header that it's talking about is talking about the head tag, not the actual header tag. So the windows.add event listener, we got the load, the label for it, and then a function here. We console.log window loaded. It lets us know when the window has loaded. It'll pop in the console. Then it'll go, remember it goes line by line. So the next thing it's going to hit is this let ring that we create, this variable, and it's stored in the document get element by ID ring button. So remember, this is what it's talking about right here, this particular button. And then we take the ring object now, and then we add an event listener to it. This ring button right here, it's going to access this. It's going to have an add event listener on this button. It's just waiting. So when the function is activated, the event console.log ring. So once this button, it has to have an action, some type of, that's why we call it an event listener. It's waiting on the event. The button is just sitting there. It won't, add event listener won't be triggered until you click it. Then we have the let knock. Then this is where we go to the document class, and then we get element by ID knock button. So we got a button that's called knock button ID. This won't get invoked until you click the button. And so knock, once it's clicked, then this event listener is going to register that it's been clicked, or knock. That's the response we're going to get. And we're putting it inside up here at the head. Now, what we're saying here, all DOM code is inside load event handler. And so one of the things we got to understand here, that with the script tag, we haven't taught you about asynchronous and synchronous. So here, what this is saying is, we want this code, to already load. We don't want it waiting on this. This should load without waiting on this information right here. It's an add event handler to the window, load event handler to the window. It's loading these events, but although we haven't clicked on the button, it's just waiting. It's watching is what it's doing. It's watching for the event to happen. So make sure you understand that difference. Now remember, I told you we can put the script tag down here at the body, right before the closing body, all your script tags as well. And what that means is it depends on the information that you need loaded. One, is it just pertaining to this button right here? We may want to put the event listener down there, but what we're talking about, the window load event, all of this is being loaded because we're doing the window. We're adding it to the window. Once the window has loaded, it's going to load this event as long as with this information or these particular buttons that you can see to the in the browser. Now, you don't want to fetch data in the script inside the head because, like I said, it's going to keep all this other stuff from loading, depending on how much data you're trying to fetch. So I will go over that more, why it's important to put the script tag at the bottom, right before the closing body tag. But for this type of script, this is just watching. It's not doing anything really. It doesn't do anything till you click the button. So now we have what we call mouse over and mouse out events. This could be very beneficial, understanding what this does and using this type of event handler on your mouse over, which this is my mouse that I'm moving around. There are many mouse related DOM events. We have already used the click event. Another example of a mouse event is the mouse over event. Basically, when I mouse over something like this, I'm mousing over it. I'm not clicking it. I'm just mousing over it. This is what that event is taking. This is what it's talking about when we talk about mouse over. You're not clicking anything. You're just running your mouse over the window, which is triggered when the mouse cursor enters an element. So whatever I put that mouse event listener on, and we're going to talk about that in a second, we can use the mouse over event to add these chevrons. We call them chevrons, but also greater than, less than symbols as well, to the inner HTML of the element that the mouse cursor has been moved over. So here we have this script again on the window: added event listener, load function, create a variable or declare and initialize a variable. We're storing in the lane list and the document get element by lane list, which is this whole entire UL unordered list. So we're putting that event listener is listening for this right here, lane list, that ID, and then we go in here and we give the list object, add an event listener, mouse over function event, and then it says let event, and then we're storing the event.target. Now we have element, which is now the object for the inner HTML, and then we're going to pass it this compound operator. So that means we're adding something to it, and we're adding this greater than chevron, or is that the greater than chevron. Now console.log target element. And so when we do the mouse over raise over lane 1, lane 2, as I go over mouse over each one of this, it's just going to keep on adding these chevrons. So every time I go over lane 2 and play with this, and you'll see the results, it's going to just keep adding chevrons. Now similarly, there is a mouse out event that is triggered when the cursor leaves a given element. So that's something you may use depending on what effect or result you're trying to achieve. Now check your understanding. Now we made it to the end of this section and the end of this chapter. You have to play around with this code. You have to do different things with it so you can get the understanding. You won't get the understanding if you just try to do this once and just move on. Keep playing around with it, and then go to the next thing, next chapter. Then come back later on and play with it when you have some free time. But make sure you understand how these events work, because you're going to use it a lot in your career. So with that being said, the more you do, the more you improve. All right, see you on the next chapter.